All right. Hey YouTube, I'm Lucky, and the Grandmasters are on our front door right now. Next Tuesday at reset, we will receive the Grandmasters, and I believe it's been confirmed by Bungie that it'll be the Palindrome and the Plug One fusion rifle on an alternate swap throughout that week. So basically, if you beat the Grandmaster, you can get the Adept Palindrome, one of the strongest weapons in the game. Works really well with Void 3.0 builds, especially when you're trying to, shoot unstoppable champions. You need that unstoppable hand cannon, right? And so Palindrome will be made available, and the Plug One, which is also a pretty good fusion rifle. So I'm going to give you the top 10/15 weapons you're going to want to have or use when the Grandmasters come out. Keep in mind, it's going to be Scarlet Keep, and we know that it's going to be Unstoppable and Barrier for Scarlet Keep. But I'm going to give you a guide, not just for Scarlet Keep, but for the general Grandmasters throughout the rest of the season. So first things first, you're going to need to be 1575 power. So keep that in mind. I'll open up my character here. 1575 power is the goal. They literally will not let you in the door to Grandmasters unless you're 1575 power. You got to get to this level. This is the minimum requirement. It's going to be a really challenging activity. You're going to be, I believe it's 25 power under. So keep that in mind. It's going to be a tough one. It's going to be brutal. Next up, we will go over all of the weapons. Okay. We've got the Fatebringer I put in this slot, but really the best loadout that I think a lot of people are going to be using throughout this is going to be this one right here. This, or maybe with a rocket, this is going to be a big one. But before we dive into all the weapons, I do need to mention one little asterisk that goes along with this, which is that there's a mod this season that's going to heavily weigh and change things for our builds, which is Lucent Finisher. Defeating a Lucent Hive Lightbearer or Champion with your finisher spawns heavy ammo for you and your allies. Now, this mod is broken. This mod is busted. It's so strong, so good. Using this is going to be a key mod to all of Grandmaster builds. Everyone should have this on, or at least a few people should have this on, so that way you can finish all those champions and drop power ammo for everyone on your fire team. This paired with Aeons, if you're on a hunter, is going to be insane because you drop literally 2 power ammo bricks. So keep that in mind, that your power weapon is going to be a really big influencer in your build. So we're going to start with the power weapons instead of the kinetic and energy like I normally do for these videos. The reads we get from trials, of course, this is such a good option. If you don't have this, of course, you could use something like the Cataclysmic. You can get 4th times the charm and high impact reserves on that Cataclysmic, but this is really one of the go-tos, one of the strongest ones. Legendary Rocket is also a really good option. We got the Palmyra B with auto-loading explosive light, a really great rocket. The Gjallarhorn, could you imagine having basically just infinite Gjallarhorn ammo? It doesn't matter if you're doing a Grandmaster when you have G-Horn. The thing just blows everything away, right? This will blow champions away. This clears ad. Gjallarhorn will honestly be probably one of the best power ammo weapons, especially with dropping so many power bricks. This will be insane for just clearing ads left and right. The Sleeper is also always a really good option, definitely worth using and having on your character, and the Parasite. So I would begin creating your build, whichever of these 5 weapons sound the most appealing to you. Pick one or pick 2, or if you have all 5 of them, just have them on your character and rotate based on the effectiveness when you do the encounter. And start from there and then work your way up from there. So, for example, if they have anti-barrier, then we're going to for sure have to have an Arbalest on the team. The Arbalest is the best anti-barrier. I wouldn't use anything else anti-barrier. Doesn't matter that there's literally anti-barrier scout, anti-barrier bow. I'm not using that stuff. I'm using the Arbalest. This thing's so strong. This is like a must-have. This is in the top 10 for sure. Witherhoard, always a really good option. This isn't going to stop any champions or anything, but just always so good for ad clear, always so consistent. Definitely a must-have on your character for doing Grandmasters, in my opinion. And the Osteostrega is also going to be a must-have weapon on your character. This thing is so good. And, I mean, not that you are going to use Overload for this, but this is definitely does stack with Overload. And you can rock Overload nades if I was on an Overload, fighting Overload champions. But keep in mind, this season, the real key to stopping overloads in Grandmasters is going to be these Warlock Boots. Now, I'm on my Hunter right now, so I can't put these on, but these things are crazy. Literally, you put these on your Warlock, if you ever have to fight overload champions, it's crazy. It's so good. Any weapon stuns overloads at that point. So, if there's overloads, these boots are the go-to, and then you can use any weapon to stun them. If there's barriers, use Arbalest. And then the third one, if there are unstoppables, probably the best is hand cannon. You could use a pulse too. They're both equally, they're not extremely impressive or unimpressive necessarily. But Fatebringer is always a really good option. We've got that frenzy roll with explosive payload. That's going to be the roll there. In the kinetic slot, if you want to use one there, or in the energy slot, you've got Palindrome, or of course you could use a pulse rifle, so keep that in mind. But the hand cannons for the unstoppables not nearly as awesome as those boots for the Overload or the Arbalest for the Bears. So keep that in mind. It's not going to be quite as nice, but still, that's the best option we get this season, you know? And then we're going to also go to the Ignition Code. The Fatebringer, not necessarily a must-have. The Ignition Code, not necessarily a must-have. Blinding enemies is often really, really good when you have tons of enemies shooting you, especially in Grandmasters. You die with just a couple shots. So blinding is something I do recommend people to use, especially in their first time going through a Grandmaster, because when you don't know where the ads spawn, you can get, you know, overran by just a pile of ads or even just a small group of ads. So blinding is always a good option to have, but not in the must-have section. I would say Arbalest, Witherhoard, and the Austere are going to be the must-haves in the Connect slot. Moving down to the Energy slot, Funnel Web will also be really good. Of course, you have the possibility of using Overload on this. This is not the role you'd want to use. This is my PvP role. But Funnel Web is always really good. It works well with volatile rounds and stuff. Dead Messenger is probably going to be really good. I haven't really used it in something as challenging as like Grandmasters or something endgame, so we'll see what its ad clear potential is. I imagine it would one-shot a pile of red bar enemies, but if it doesn't, then maybe we wouldn't use it. But I think this will be really good. A lot of people will be using that. Again, the Truth Teller, this is just the blinding effect, similar to the Ignition Code, something that a lot of people use. I wouldn't say that this is like the primary build that people should go with, though. It's often better to just clear the ads with, you know, really efficient ad clear weapons than it is to blind them, in my opinion. It'll be faster to use your special ammo weapon on something more efficient like Witherhoard than it would be to have a Truth Teller on, but Truth Teller is definitely still an option when you're on your first through in a Grandmaster. The Divinity will always be really good at stunning Overload, so keep that in mind. Like I said, though, those Warlock Boots are really the go-to, but if you don't have a Warlock on your team, for example, and you need to stun Overloads, Divinity will certainly be a good option. The Cartesian still absolutely melts, and the Lead from Gold Vorpal roll will be nuts. Think about this. You have Hive Lucent Finisher, you potentially have Aeons on with a Hunter on your team, and then they hit a finisher which drops 2 power bricks. Lead from Gold picks up those 2 power bricks and gives you special ammo for both of them. So you basically have infinite power ammo, and you have infinite special ammo with a Cartesian coordinate with Vorpal. So that's like, you don't even need to use your primary. You literally just run around shooting endless Galahorn and endless Cartesian coordinate. Like, that would be amazing. Like, you would speedrun Grandmasters at that point, right? So keep that in mind. That Cartesian, it's come up a few times when I've brought you PSA videos, so make sure you're subscribed with notifications on, because the PSA video would have gotten you this beautiful Cartesian, this Grandmaster God Roll Cartesian from the vendors. The Palindrome, like I mentioned before, you could use a variety of different rolls. Overflow 1 for All is probably the better one, but definitely a decent unstoppable weapon. And then you've got the Izumi for range. This is still a sniper that slaps. You got triple tap Vorpal, definitely worth having and having on your character. And then we've got the Under Your Skin bow. Now this thing's crazy. I don't have the mod on it here, but Archer's Tempo Explosive Head is still good, but it does have the ability to get that mod that allows you to shoot all the different shield types, and that's definitely the Under Your Skin you're looking for, and that thing will be nasty this season, so keep that in mind. Under Your Skin will be worth grabbing. And that's going to be it in terms of all the weapons. So let me know your thoughts down below. If you think I missed any meta, any sandbox defining weapons from the season, feel free to comment that down below. But from everything I've done, I've been doing tons of Master Nightfalls. I've been doing, you know, raids and raid carries and such. These are all the weapons that I think will really stand out in Grandmasters. Grandmasters are significantly different from the raids because you're like so under leveled that it really changes the, you know, the god rolls that you're looking for in the meta and the sandbox in general. You're also fighting a lot more champions, so keep that in mind. But hopefully you found this video helpful. If you do follow the stuff I said, I think you'll go through the Grandmasters with a breeze. And that's a wrap on this video. Make sure to subscribe if you enjoyed. Smash the like button. I'll see you in the next one. Later.